Good morning and welcome back to Plannercraft. I'm Natalie and today we're going to be creating embossing folders with our scan and cut. That was quite a mouthful, wasn't it? So first of all, morning Linda, morning Carol.
Hey, I got notification early today.
Yay! Notification is working well. So, if you're watching, let us know, say hi. If at any point you have any questions, there's no such thing as a silly question, so do pop it in the comments. And Ian is monitoring the comments and can ask the question for you. Morning Deb.
Morning all. I'll say it soon. You'll hear me. I'm not mumbling.
Okay, so what you're going to need for this is some cheap white card. Now you can also use your offcuts if there is something you've stamped and it's gone a bit wrong. If you've used it and done a jelly print and you don't like it, then by all means use that and, you know, reuse and recycle.
And we have morning Nancy and morning Joyce.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Hi Julia.
Julie's in as well.
So I've pulled out a couple of pieces of white card. I'm going to put the first one onto my mat. Now my mat is a brand new mat, so it is very sticky. So when it comes to getting this back off, you will have a much easier job than what I'm going to. So I'm just going to very lightly just brush across the card so that it is the mat. Now for the fun bit, we get to design. So we've got on a close view.
We have.
Yay! Julia made it alive. So we're going to go to pattern and we're going to start off by creating the outside edge of our embossing folder. Now there are a couple of types that we can talk about. So the first one I'm going to do is like a negative one, and where we can actually keep our apertures open so that we can also use it as a stencil. And I'm going to go for the number 12 rectangle box.
And you have Thea and Nikki.
Hello, hello. So I'm going to just swap to millimetres for a minute.
And Louise. Because I did remember, and I'm free.
Yay! So our automatic size for a box is 70 by 100mm. Or if you're inches, you can work it in that too, and it'll be the same size. To which we have a number of 1 at the moment. So as you get more advanced and you actually want to start creating 3D embossing folders, you can actually increase that number so that you're doing your different layers. But we'll start off with just 1 to start with. And we're going to put that onto our mat. We need to go back to add. We're going to go to pattern, and this time we can go into one of our designs. And what should we go for today? Let's go for a tree. Did you say?
Yeah.
That tree.
There's another tree.
Is it in this one by any chance?
No, it's on the next one across.
Next one across, that one.
That tree.
That tree, you want to do that one. Now usually this one works better bigger, but okay, we'll shrink it down. We may lose a bit of detail. So we're going to take that down so that it's going to fit within our 70 height. As it's round the other way actually, let's take it so our width fits in the 70. So you want to allow a border around the edge of your rectangle. So as Ian said this one, because he's awkward, what I would say is I'm going to come back to this one, Ian.
Okay.
Because this one's a bit different in how we would do it.
Okay.
Because you've got apertures inside, you're going to create it from the positive, whereas what I'm going to start with is the easier way, which is the negative. Believe it or not, it's easier to work in negative. Okay. So let's go back. And let's... You want to choose something that's fairly simple, so something that is one piece ideally. And let's go for a snowflake one. And we're going to reduce our snowflake down to the minimum. It's going to beep at you. We'll go OK. OK. And we're going to want a few of those added onto the mat. So I'm going to add 5. Now it may be that I need more, it might mean I need less, but we'll see how we go. So there's our 5 snowflakes. And let's see how we go in here. So maybe that we reduce some down smaller while keeping some bigger. So I'm thinking these 2 here can stay bigger, and let's shrink down the remaining 3 so they fit. So if we go into edit, object edit, we can go to resize, and even though it complained before when we reduced it down, now that we're in this view it's going to let us go much smaller. Okay, when you're happy with that size, I'm just going to go a little bit bigger. We can go OK. We can go to duplicate and that add. Yeah, let's go up to 3. Should be enough room, just about. So I'm going to put one in there and one up here. Now these other 2 we can just get rid because there's just no room. So now we want to zoom in. So we're going to tap on our little magnifying glass, and depending on the size of the folder we can zoom in a bit more. And I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. So now we can get a hold of our snowflakes and do all our final positioning tweaks. So we can go, that one's going to go just there, this one's going to move down here a little bit. So you want it so that you've got a good border between each shape, if you can help it. I'm just going to bring that one in just a little so we can use our keys at the top right to just nudge that if we need to, and just down a little bit. I'm going to bring that one down a little bit as well. So we're going to go OK. We're going to go to multi-select. We're going to select everything on the mat, go OK, object edit, and we're going to group everything. Okay, so by having it all selected as one group, number 1, our design positioning isn't going to shift now, and number 2, it's nice and easy to say that we need 2 of them. Now in terms of the number of copies, this is going to vary by the card that you are using. So if you're using thinner card, so something that's sort of 200 to 250, you could probably do with 3 copies. If you're going 250 to 300, you can probably get away with 2. And if you're going above 300, you may even get away with 1. So if you're working with something that's really thick, try 1, you can run it through, and if need be, you can always cut out another one. So I'm going to go OK. I'm going to move that over to the side so that we have our 2 embossing layers. Okay, let's load our mat and let's get those cut out. So I'm going to go OK, OK, OK. I'm going to go to cut. Okay. Load my mat. I'm just going to get that little bit of card that is just on my roller. There we go. So first of all you need to decide on which blade. Now because we've got some elements that we've gone down lower than the minimum that the machine will allow us to, that to me says it's good incentive to go for the vinyl blade because it can handle the detail. If you don't have a vinyl blade but you do have the blue blade from the CM to use in your DX, then you can use that instead and then go from there. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in. Our pressure is on -6, which is what we were using yesterday. Our speed is on 1. Now, because we've got those little tiny details, I'm going to leave it on 1, even though it's going to take a little bit longer to cut. And off we go.
Good morning to Sarah.
Hello! So this first little session that I'm doing is all about making it nice and easy for a beginner to do this. So by drawing that rectangle out the side first, it's going to be really easy to line up those layers. And like I said, when it comes to stenciling tomorrow, we can show you how you can use that to actually stencil over the embossed sections. So, any questions before we go too much further? While it's cutting away? No.
Nothing yet. I'll let you know if anything pops up.
Oh, while I think of it, the September challenge, you can download the files on our Discord group. If you can't find them, or if you need help, please do message us and we can drop them on an email so that you can join in. I know Discord, it can be a bit disconcerting to beginners as to where to find things.
Ray says we're buffering there. Maybe it's Mr. C fighting me for internet access. How are we doing?
There does seem to be a bit of a thing at the moment where if you are watching live streams on a computer, whether that's a PC or Mac, that there are buffering issues. Usually if you switch to something like your iPhone, iPad, Android tablet or Android phone, then usually they are okay. It doesn't work, does it?
It argues with me.
But Lynette was having a similar issue in her live last night as well, where Taylor couldn't watch it back.
I presume that
Have some Tyvek here, any good for stenciling. Save your Tyvek for your mini albums. It's really good for doing your hinges in your mini albums that are going to be looked at frequently, that you want to last a long time. In terms of other things that you can use for stencils for cutting tomorrow, you can use acetate, you can use mylar, you've got masking films that you can get, so that you would be using your half cut and then being able to peel them on and off. If you're using the clarity masking sheets, you can do that too. It tends to be how much do you think you're going to use that particular stencil. So if you're only going to use it once or twice, then something like masking film or masking paper is good enough. If you think you're going to use it lots and lots and lots, and particularly with things like texture paste, then you're going to want to work with a thicker mylar or acetate.
It says I have some overhead projector sheets.
Yep, that'll do.
Okay. Yes, Thea's saying sorry, I didn't realise that you could use the blade from your CM machine in the SDX.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
There's a separate setting for it, which is manual cut pressure.
Joyce said she's made a boo-boo, bought a new die cutter, but it's as heavy as my old one, so I need to send it back.
Oh, which one did you get, Joyce? I have to say, my Gemini's not too bad, but my Platinum is, well, yeah. It has to be a good day for me to be able to use it and lift it. It's quite heavy.
And Louise's excellent. I have no overhead projector. She has overhead projector sheets.
It's one of those random things that you tend to end up with in your stash. You can also use lamination sheets as well. So if you run those through so that they're melted, obviously, and then you can do it that way and cut that in your machine. I'm trying to think what else. If you've got some waste packaging, you can use that. I must admit, I tend to use things like cardboard boxes more so for substrates rather than stencils. So I used to like doing a lot of 4x4 tiles using crisp bread packets of all things. And that cuts really well when you scan and cut.
Hi Sharon.
Hi Sharon. So at the moment we're cutting our first embossing folder, which is a nice simple negative embossing folder. So we're going to keep the outside shape and we're going to get rid of the little snowflakes that are inside for our first embossing folder. Oh, yeah, the new one, the one we were watching.
Oh, on CNC.
The pink one.
On CNC.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one they claim is portable.
I have that laugh about most things though. I mean, my keyboard they claim is portable.
On the front row.
Yeah.
Weightlifting for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose anything is portable if you're strong enough.
Yeah.
The other trick that you can do with lamination sheets coming up to Christmas is that you can actually sprinkle white embossing powder and then run that through your laminator so that you get it all nice and melted and sealed between your lamination sheets, and then you can cut that in your scan and cut.
Fancy.
Yeah. So let's go OK, and we're going to unload our mat for the time being.
That's the cut and boss, the old one.
Yep. Yeah, my mum has a cut and boss somewhere. It's good. So, what I would normally say is, with this backing sheet, if your mat's that new, leave it attached and then do the next bit. But I'm just going to take that off for now, so it's a bit easier for me to get the next bit off. So I'm going to use a metal spatula, and I'm going to try and get underneath my card. So we want ideally to have one neat piece that we put closest to our card. So just take it carefully off the mat. As I said, if you're using an older mat, you'll have a much easier time at this. It's because I'm working with a brand new mat. There we go. It's getting there. I don't want to pull it because obviously we don't want to risk tearing it, because this is the piece we're going to be using. And we're going to do that again. This one.
And just as like you know, I need a good day to move it. Yeah, because they're heavy and
Yeah.
trying to turn the crank and the handles on.
Yeah. I have to say, I had a similar issue with my Grand Calibers, but then we changed the handle, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was made a lot better. So now I'm going to take off all these little snowflakes off my mat. And I'm going to set those to one side because I'm going to show you the other option that we have for embossing folders.
Nikki said she had to switch to her iPad.
Yeah, to make it behave. So there's two sizes of snowflakes. So what I'm going to do is just put them into two piles and then we can do that after. So as I said, when it comes to your mat, you'll probably have a much easier time with this than me.
So someone's using a new mat than me not.
Yeah. There we go. I don't think it's entirely our fault though, judging by Lynette's last night.
We have a good internet connection.
There definitely was a pattern of, if you were watching on a mobile device, that you had a better chance of getting it in.
Louise said they were both on mobile devices.
Yeah. That's not good then. Can't even tell people to do that. I'd love to say that we could go up to the new swanky broadband that is slowly launching throughout the UK, but it's not here yet.
It's not here yet. I'd love to see how they're going to get it up to the flat.
Carefully. Okay, so now what you need to do is you're going to take your 2 cards, choose which one is the neatest and which one looks a bit rough around the edges. You're going to put the rough around the edges one at the bottom, and you're going to put the nice neat one at the top. Now,
that's good to know, Nancy. Nancy's watching on her iPhone, she's not having issues with buffering.
Cool. So, choice of glue. You can use either the Sticks 2 3D PVA or you can use your Aqua, but what I would say is make sure that if you're using something like the Sticks 2 3D, that you're trying to keep your dots as level as possible, if that makes sense, so that you're not getting this kind of effect going on in your card. So, I'm just going to go in with a bit of this one. The idea being it should dry a bit flat.
You want to say why you like that one?
What, with the little teeth?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for this border tip area, it's actually got little teeth that are going to thin out the glue, so you should get a nice even application. Now, as you get more and more confident with doing this, you're going to want to get more complicated with your patterns. And what I would say is at that point, you're going to want to go to a sheet adhesive rather than using glue. So if you go back on our videos, there's one I show you with the double-sided adhesive roll from Wild Spider, and that would be how I would work.
What, the ones from Clarity?
Yep, the Clarity sheets work well. Dot and dab if you can still get any. Okay, I'm going to pop that in there. Now, if you get any bits that lift up, don't panic too much, because obviously, and when you put it through your die cutting machine, it's going to squish it all. So at this point, just let it dry for a little bit, because obviously you don't want to get glue on the card that you're embossing. And while that's drying, I'm going to move on to the next one. So I'm just going to pop that there with a weight on top, and that can hold it flat as it dries. So next, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut a shape from my card. So whereas this one is an open embossing folder, this one I'm going to do closed. So I'm going to be working onto a solid surface and then building up. So this one is good where you've got lots of pieces to a design that don't attach. So, because we're now going to be getting detailed, it's easier to switch to the Sticks 2 because they're little nozzle. And I'm going to work straight onto my background. Now, depending on how you want to emboss and what you're embossing, you may want to do things like having our background piece shaped so that it actually becomes part of the design. So you could do an oval instead. You could do something that has an aperture in the middle if you know that you need it to go around a verse and work backwards. So So there's lots of ways that you can use this technique. So this is really the next complicated one. And just because I can, I'm going to go and increase the layer a little bit. So you can see the difference between a 2 and a 3. So with this one, our snowflakes are going to be debossed.
Where do you buy your aqua glue from? We have some, if you'd like some.
Yep. And I think we have a link on our Amazon store as well, don't we?
Yes.
Yes, but if you would like to order some from us, we have it. I'll have to look that up. I don't think it's on Buy Me a Coffee at the moment. Because there's only so much we can fit on Buy Me a Coffee at one point. Speaking of which, Christmas House Workshop, that's going to be going up later today. If that's 3, let's leave those as 2, I think. That could look quite funky.
I do. Drop us a message after the stream, Julia, and we'll sort out getting some tea. Help me?
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. So you'll notice I'm not really going for any kind of set pattern. I'm not trying to match the pattern we did over here. It's just a case of...
Carol said so did Abba.
And let's go for 1, shall we? So we've got something quite subtle. So you can tell me off if I keep going off screen, Ian. I try not to, but I know I tend to. And I'm going to take this down here, and then what I'll do is when this is dry, I will tidy up. One of the advantages of creating it this way as opposed to doing it on the scanner cup, we can have bits that overlap without having to worry about weld.
I haven't seen Tracy yet today, to be honest.
To be honest, I haven't really heard from her, and I didn't hear from her yesterday.
She was watching yesterday.
Yeah, but usually we have a little chat after.
Yeah.
And we didn't have our little daily chat yesterday. Okay, so again, whoop, I'm just going to move those across there and let that set for a moment. That one's doing alright. So I'm going to let that set. Now for our next complicated one. I'm going to bring my cutting mat back in, and I'm just going to take off these little spare bits of card and pop that back onto my mat. So if you like something that you've created, at this point you could save it in case you need to cut another one somewhere down the line. So I'm just going to make sure that there's no debris from gluing or that's come off my hand on the mat, because you don't want to have those bits going in your machine. Do frequently check the back of your mat too. So,
thank you, Louise.
Fingers crossed. And let's go back to our machine and we can load that in.
Eva says she loves a new mat.
Yeah, yeah. Brand new mats are cool. There's like a sweet spot where after the first sort of 3 or 4 cuts, isn't it? It gets that really nice bit where it's like, oh, that comes off easier now. It stays that way for a good long while then. When you're cleaning your Artistic mats, just use a sticky lint roller. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to save that to my USB, and it's going to come up with a little warning saying it includes a grouped pattern on the mat, so you can't ungroup it once you've saved it, and that's absolutely fine because we won't want to in this case. Go OK, and we can go and reset. So Ian wanted to do a tree, didn't he? So let's go and do the tree.
You don't have to do the tree. You don't have to, sweetie.
No, it's fine. We want something that's fairly fiddly.
Let's fairy then.
Let's go for the fairy, because the fairy would look quite sweet. Hunt the fairy. There she is. Okay, so this time we're going to just use her as a positive embossing folder. So this means that we're going to be able to move her about our card to emboss her wherever we want to. And it also means that we don't have to worry about all that little detail inside being lost. So, size wise, it depends on what you want it for. But I think it could look quite funky to do it quite big. Then you can use things like your patinas, waxes, even pencil crayons if you're careful, to actually bring out the raised surface. So I'm going to go and increase my number to 2 or 3. Should we go 3? Really bring her out that card. And I'm going to add those to my mat. So there are our 3 fairies. So we know that we have enough card on our mat, but it might be that you might want to save a bit of card. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, so we will have a look at our different options. They're saying cut it sideways to save card. I don't somehow see that. Upside down.
No, they just pass.
Yeah, and the next one isn't going to save you anything, so I'm just going to go OK, and she can be cut upside down, poor thing. And we'll go OK, and again there's a little bit of detail in there, so I will keep the same blade set up. And we can go start.
You can talk for another 9 minutes now.
Yeah, this is going to take some time. So, 5 minutes worth of talking. We've covered the competition, well, challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll be doing better than me if she has Carol. Oh, I thought yesterday was bad.
Oh, the lights just died.
Oh, poor thing.
Are we allowed to discuss what's happening Friday or not?
Yes, you could say what's happening Friday. I just won't go into specifics yet.
No.
No.
Well, Thursday, I'm going to say.
You're going to get... Okay, go on then.
No, it's up to you.
Yes?
I'll be back in a sec. Ideally.
Yeah. He teases and then he runs away. No, he's just taking the battery from the light to go and charge. He'll be back in a minute.
I don't do it when I think about it.
Yeah, it's one of those. If you don't do anything about it, you can guarantee that you'll forget, and then we come tomorrow and be like, why is my light not working? Same with the microphone, isn't it?
Yeah, which probably will need charging again next week. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So Thursday, hopefully,
Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed, we are picking up the prototype of the foil shield.
It's not a prototype anymore.
Oh no.
No.
Well, it is, but it isn't, isn't it? 'Cause it's
No, it's not though, is it?
No, it's what's the word for it?
Test product?
Test product, yes.
Yeah, it is literally
It's in its last stages now of
quality control. That's
Quality
that's the
control,
word I'm
yes.
looking for. Quality control.
So hopefully it's going to be the colours that we're having it printed, and ready to go. So hopefully we'll be showing that on stream on Friday, along with the pre-sale being released on Friday, and we are, am I allowed to say that we're splitting it up?
Yeah, go on then.
I won't say prices or anything yet.
That's okay.
So we are now looking at being 3 options for purchasing, because when we put the original prices up,
There was only one insert.
there was only 1 to 2 inserts, as where now there are 6, with all difference. Yes, so there will be a pre-order yet, going up on Friday, because we still have to get them made once we know, but we will need to know how many we need to get made, because obviously they're made to order at the moment,
Yeah.
and which bits. So there's going to be 3 options. So there is your basic set, which is your
Outside
frame and 3 sets of inserts, and then we have a top-up set of the inserts, which is the additional 3 sets of inserts, and we have the full set, which is everything. So you have the 3 options that you can use, and each of them you do save something on, although they vary on which ones.
Yep. And also we are going to be able to list them individually as well, so if you do, heaven forbid, manage to break one or do something to it, melt it, you know, stick it against a radiator and leave it for a month, yeah, then you will be able to replace just one piece rather than having to rebuy a whole set.
Yes. So they will all be up individually and also as the sets.
Yep.
So keep an eye on our Buy Me a Coffee, because they'll all be going up on there. Like I said, we will be doing the pre-sale going up on Friday. Although we have worked out prices, haven't we? We just
Yes.
want to do the quality check before we put them up, so we know
Yes,
that
we
we're
want
happy with
to
it.
check that it works. With that in mind, if anybody has a Cricut maker, can they please reach out to us, because we need somebody to test it in a Cricut. Because obviously we can do everything else, but we can't test it in a Cricut.
Look forward to that exciting times ahead. Yes.
Yes.
It
Yes, I've
Keep me
already,
getting on.
yeah, and I've already planned the next set, which is kind of freaky.
Yes, so the other advantage we have with our gentleman who's printing it for us, one, he's local, so it keeps our carbon footprint within the same county, which is good. And also he can print basically any size or shape of moulds that we want, so... Ooh, Nikki Shaw has a Cricut maker.
Okay. Cool.
Can you drop me a private message, Nikki, or Planning Path private message? Or Nat, take a pic.
Yeah, it's probably easiest if it's me, to be honest.
Yeah, if you drop it to Natalie, she'll pick it up. So look for Nat Ballard, and drop her a private message, and just make sure, see where you are compared to us. But yeah, as I was saying, the company that are doing the 3D printing for us now, they can do basically any template that we want to put inside. So if you think of a colour or not a colour necessarily, a size that we haven't covered,
Yeah,
and
or
then you think it would
there's-
be suitable, or one that you think, oh, I could just do with a...
Or if you're doing a wedding and you've got 200 2-inch tags to do, then you can reach out and say, help, I need something I can do this with, and we can actually do you a frame with lots of 2-inch circles in. So all you got to do is just literally go ding 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 ding, and then you can foil away, or cut all the holes, or draw all your writing if you feel that way inclined. So yeah, it's cool, and it's also going to have Carol, I will send you a file for your Windows.
Sorry, Carol.
I was going to say it's also going to have uses outside of the cutter. So as it starts to develop, particularly with the next set, you're going to see that you're going to be able to use it on your desk, particularly if you have a magnetic cutting mat like me, or if you have the station, you're going to be able to use it on that, so that you'll be able to do some new tricks and pieces. And then one of the inserts in that is actually going to then double up and also go in your stamp platform without the outer frame. So you'll be able to have lots of fun with that one.
Yeah, so keep an eye out on that frame. And the set is called the Foil Shield at the moment. So do keep an eye on our Buy Me a Coffee. But there'll be links going up on the group, and they'll be everywhere. You won't be able to turn a page without finding it somewhere, I don't think.
Okay, so fingers crossed. Should be okay. Yep. And let's unload that. I'm not that bothered about it being delicate at the top. I can always chop into that after. So now these are the pieces that we need to go careful with. Now my advice would be, with something like this where you've got lots of delicate little pieces, go to the roundest edge. Okay, so in this case we're going to be looking at the wings. So if I turn that round, then I can attack from this side, and it's going to be a lot easier to then peel that off. So
this is where your metal edged spatula really comes in.
Yeah, definitely.
The plastic one that comes with it aren't fantastic. They tend to butt your edges up. That's where the metal ones tend to slide under a bit easier, don't they?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be an expensive one either. So if you are new to the Scan and Cut, haven't got a metal spatula yet, you can get a vinyl set from Amazon for probably about £10. If that, and it'll have one of these in there. We do have a couple in stock as well if you really want to have a Cricut one, which has a wider scraper in with it, which is good for cleaning up your mats. Okay, so there's our first one. So I have an idea for another embossing folder that I might show you all later.
Maybe not today.
Yeah.
You haven't embossed anything yet and it's 11:45.
I know.
And Leslie's on at
12:30.
12:30. You've got to be quick. And she is on today, we've checked.
Yep.
So if anybody wants to watch Leslie at 12:30, she'll be on the Chocolate Baroque Facebook group at 12:30.
And she has news about the shade along. She's going to be sharing some DT samples from the last show.
It's always worth a watch.
Yeah. So if you're stuck for inspiration, if your mojo's waning a little bit, because we all have days where it's like that, and it's a good one to go and watch. Lots of different ideas. Just pop out that one little dot again. There we go. And I'm going to set that to one side of being naughty, but rather than you have to sit and watch me scrape that all off. So let's get our fairies. They said butterflies then. It's not a butterfly.
No, it's a fairy.
Oh, my glue's gone mad now. So.
I did clean it for you earlier because it was a little clogged.
Yeah. It's because I was doing stuff yesterday, so. That was it. I got distracted. mid-gluing.
Oh, is that my fault?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you know I've lost a bat. Oh, I was gluing a bat. Oh, I can see the bat. There we go. Quick. I was mid-gluing a bat and poor bat's dried with the glue still on him without actually getting stuck to what he's heading towards.
Yeah,
So I'm working on a really fun project at the moment.
you're always working on fun projects. You have lots of fun projects.
Yeah. This one's quite a biggie though, isn't it? So it's like a spooky. Well, originally it was supposed to be a spooky box. I keep going to call it the spooky house, which is weird because it's not house-like. Yeah, it's not even remotely house-like. But I think when it goes inside, I'm gonna have like a crypt on one side, and that's for a blog piece. So keep an eye out because you'll know it when you see it. Okay, so there's our next one. So just because of time, I'm going to set that one there to dry, and we can actually emboss these two. So let's get a card blank.
A dinky one.
Should I go dinky dinky?
If you want to.
Oh, that's a bit too dinky dinky. Actually, if I go for that one, I haven't used any of these in a while. It's going to be a fun one to try and do. So, first of all, just going to trim.
Stars and moons to my Winnie the Witch yesterday and lost a black moon. And found it stuck to my jeans about an hour later.
Oh, there are little bits of offcuts that grow legs and walk, don't they, dear?
Yeah.
Around the house. Literally. So I'm just going to cut down there very carefully.
Was it not straight?
No, because that was the bit I just chopped off, but I thought if I'm going to do it on here, I'll hide it up a little bit. Okay. So, my plan is I'm going to do one this end and the other one the other end, and we'll see how we go. Maybe that we might end up going back and cutting another one of those to get more depth, but we'll see how subtle it comes out. Now, when we're embossing, we're going to need 2 clear plates. We're going to need our embossing mat, which is somewhere in there. I think. Therefore I am, I think.
That one isn't.
It's the black one usually. Yeah, it's the black rubber one we're looking for.
Black rubber one.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's been a while. It's one of those get your instructions up.
Is it over there still? Down on the second shelf, I think there are all the other bits.
That was the one thing I didn't think of taking. Oh, sorry. Bad Matty. Fill in for me, Ian.
Eh?
Fill in for me.
Yeah, well, Natty's searching for that. What have you done with it, dear? Because we both have to search for these things, because you can never find the one you want.
I don't know. I could have thought it should be over in the other pile. Because it's definitely not there. That is the colour. I don't know.
No, we've lost the embossing bit of foam.
Yeah, you can try with a bit of foam if that doesn't work. Let's see how it goes. Let's turn it on. Always helps.
I've already turned it on.
There we go. So, let's get our card
foam that was in there.
Yes, please. So we're going to build it up this way. I don't know where it's gone. I'm going to have a mooch around for that. Make sure that there's nothing that is underneath your embossing folder. Then I'm going to go shim this side and clear plate, and let's see how that goes. Careful when you pull it out because it's a long piece of card. Let's see. So, there we go. So there's our embossing, and you can just about see that. So
see it better on there, yeah.
Yeah,
On
you
the
can see it
phone.
better on the phone. So one of those tricks of the camera, isn't it? If you want to do it again, you can always run it through a couple of times to try and pick up a bit more detail. But I think I'll leave that as it is. And let's go for the other end so I can show you the difference. Poor snowflakes. Let's go this end again. Just going to move that there. I'm doing that the wrong way round because you want the foam to push the card through. Let's line that up. Now this time I'm hoping it'll stay level because it did shift a little. So the more sheets of card, the more defined that edge is going to be. But you do get to a point where if you use too many, you'll find that you get cracking. So that's where you'll actually see like a little torn mark that may not necessarily line up with the edge of the shape. It can happen in the middle too. And you'll notice it more so where you are working with a dark card that has a white core. That's going to need another go through to get that a bit more. So just because I'm going to give it a little extra helping hand. If you create an embossing folder and you want it to have a little bit more oomph, and I'm going to just create a couple of shims to stick behind it rather than having to recreate a deeper embossing folder. So, now, because the embossing folder that I'm doing this time is designed to have that nice neat edge, you want to go a little bit more careful about placing these because otherwise they can show through, but we'll see how we go. There we go. Okay, and let's have a look, see how that did. It's a little bit more than. So, and let's see if I can get this to show on screen. There we go. So there's our snowflakes.
Can we get our fairy in the middle quick?
What, in the middle of the piece? Okay, let's see how we go. So again, if you're working with something like this where it is more detailed. You can still always put a shim behind it if you need to. I'm going to pop her this way. And let's put these kind of across her like that. Now this is a bit more tricky to get through with the machine because we've got that card hanging out, so just go nice and slowly and carefully. Sticker from the foam, and there you go. There is our fairy, and we can highlight her with our patterners if you want to. Or you can just leave her like that, which is cool. So there's lots of ways that you can use your shapes in your machine to create embossing folders. Poor Pooch. So I look forward to seeing what you do with it. Hopefully you will be putting these up on the group. If you want to put photos on the group, you can start an album so that we can see all your work in one place. If you need help doing that, just reach out and I can show you how to do that. And so tomorrow we are doing stenciling, and you will need your cheap card or acetate or mylar, or if you've got some document wallets that are like the shiny card, you can use those, and then we can cut those on the machine, and we can also go back and use our snowflake one, which is our open snowflake one, over our embossing to bring those out more too.
Joyce says, could you hinge the stars and make more defined?
You could. You could. What I would say with doing that is when we tried it in class, people found it really fiddly to try and get it to match up, because what you essentially have to do is, where's my embossing folder gone? What you have to do is, you're going to love this. When you do your folder like this, the other side needs to be the positive. So if you imagine that all these snowflakes are in the same place as they are on there, you would have to hinge it so that they pop through and out the other side. But because you're putting a piece of card in the middle, you need there to be enough of a difference between the two that your card can actually fit through and still form. So your snowflakes that are this side, the positive snowflakes, need to have an offset inwards. Now if you do that on the machine, the smallest that you can get it is 1 mil, but when you're working at this kind of scale, it actually needs to go down smaller than that, so you may find that you are better off doing it in something like Affinity, Illustrator, Inkscape, where you can actually control that offset a little bit more finer, so that you can actually get it and the two actually nice and neatly fit each other. And then you can just use some micropore tapes, usually quite good for hinges, to actually create that hinge. So usually I don't tend to show doing both sides for beginners because of that issue of that fine offset, just so that it fits nicely. And I look forward to seeing what you do. So do take care, and see you tomorrow for stenciling. So bring inks, that was what thing I meant to say. Bring inks and a blending tool. So whether that's a blending brush, a sponge, a dauber, take your pick. Whichever suits you.
That was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So take care for now and bye.